Welcome to Ramaging with Devi. In the Manusmriti series, today we will be looking at episode 2. In episode 1, we saw the creation of the universe, and episode 2, from verse 33 onwards, it talks about creation of other things within the universe. And the hierarchy of creation is Swayambhu. He divided himself into two and created the male and the female. And from the female, he created the Viraj. And from the Viraj, he created Manu. And Manu created everything else. And the everything else includes things like lightning, thunder, sound, those kind of things, and also animals, plants, insects. And it categorizes into animals that are born from womb, from egg, and everything else. And the two big categories is movable and immovable. So all the animals and human beings, they come into the movable group, and the immovable group is the plants. Um, and also, apart from these groups, it also creates the category of gods and other subtle kinds of gods as well, different sort of categories of gods like Apsaras, Kuberas, Asuras, Rakshas, and it talks about all those other different kinds of gods as well. So this is in effect the creation story. And what it does is it ties the creation with two things. One is the soul. So the soul, it says it enters and leaves the beings, the corporal beings in the animals, plants, and human beings and everything else. So it's born when it enters a seed or an egg, and then it gets out of the corporal beings. So that's the cycle of birth. And it says the cycle of the birth starts from human beings, Brahmins at first, and then it moves on to other beings, other human beings, animals, and then it finally ends up in plants. So it says plants are dark forces, and plants can experience pain and pleasure as well. And then it ties this creation story with another thing, with Swayambhu himself. So after all this creation was done, Swayambhu disappears within himself. So the sleeping and waking up of Swayambhu is aligned with the cosmos, the waking and I don't know whether it's the cosmos or the universe, but it's the waking and the sleeping of the universe. So these are the two things it ties up with. And that sort of finishes the creation theory of the beings. And the next few verses deals with time and the concept of time, as well as the concept of geographical location. That we will look in episode 3. So what did I think about these two verses? What is my opinion? I think this is verse 33, chapter 1, verse 33, is one of the most important concepts that has impacted the Indian civilization for the last 2 to 3,000 years, because it states that human beings were born as Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras from the mouth, the arms, the thighs, and the feet of the first Manu. So this is this concept has shaped people's life, generations, and the culture and the civilization and everything else. Um, I I genuinely feel that when people say, people who were not born and brought up in India, um, on an outside perspective of India, they say, "Oh, India is all chaotic." I tell them, no, it's not chaotic. It's very structured and very hierarchy. And this verse 33 is this, and there are other verses, I'm sure it'll Manusmriti will state, which I haven't read yet, but this is the start of how structured the Indian society is. Nothing is chaotic. It might appear chaotic, but actually it's a very structured and hierarchical society, and that structure is maintained for more than 2 to 3,000 years. There's always exceptions. You can quote some incidents and say there's exceptions, and those exceptions are normally outliers. Predominantly the structure of the society is based on this verse, according to the verse 33, chapter 1, verse 33. So that was one thing. The second thing that I found interesting was the concept of the plants itself. This sort of blew my mind because I wasn't expecting this at all. Because what Manusmriti states is that the order of birth, starting from human beings and Brahmins at first, then Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and then animals, and then insects, and then plants. So as a person sins, they keep getting reborn as in the derogatory term of evolution, the next subsequent steps of evolution. And plants is a last step. And so plants are considered very sinful, and because they're not, I don't know why, it states as dark forces, and also it explains pain and pleasure. So it's in direct contradiction with the Darwinian theory of evolution, which is okay because religion and science are two different things. Um, the interesting bit is about the plants in itself experiencing pain and experiencing pain and pleasure. So the pain, if plants experience pain, so when we cut the leaves, the fruits, or parts of the plant and eat them, they do experience pain. So vegetarianism in itself is not a pure thing. Which is the vegetarianism is categorized as a pure thing. It's the height of being good and being pure and everything else. The concept of purity. Manusmriti hasn't talked about the concept of purity at all, but this is just my opinion on the concept of vegetarianism. So if plants experience pain and pleasure, then being vegetarian is not pure at all. So um, yeah, it's the same thing as eating an animal. So yeah, and where did the concept of? So I'm wondering, where did the concept of purity come from? From eating vegetables? If you know, if you know about any of those things, please do write to me, leave a comment, and we can discuss. And if you like what you're watching and listening to, please like and subscribe and follow me on the podcast platform of your preference. Thank you.